Hello everyone, I'm Joel. In this video I'm going to be trying to take care of a new issue that has arrived with my turbo E30. This car has always had an eBay GT3582 on it and it worked fine, it makes good power. The only thing, back then it would kind of smoke a little bit and it was never much of an issue. Now though, this thing is a freight train. It smokes so bad after getting into boost. Yo, that is not a good amount of smoke. Holy shit. That's crazy. A really big part of me thinks that the turbo is fried, but I have to try and fix this angle of the turbo feed and drain because this could be playing a big part in why it's smoking so much. This is supposed to be vertical, straight up and down, so that the oil can just flow straight through the turbo. It currently has no restrictor in it because it's a journal bearing turbo. I put a restrictor in to see if it would help and it made the smoking so much worse. So I went back to the unrestricted. The reason I can't straighten this out anymore is because the drain is contacting with my exhaust manifold because I have a .63 AR back housing. It is very small, so I'm hoping going up to a .82 AR back housing, it's gonna give me a little bigger back housing and hopefully it pushes it a little more this way or a little up so that I can straighten this out a little more, because that's kind of the only hope with this turbo. I got this turbo when I rebuilt this engine, so it's only a few months old, but it is a $120 turbo. You can't really expect much longevity out of these ones. Before going in and changing this back housing, I want to compare the data. I want to see how my engine likes the two back housings. When does it spool? When does it make full boost? And I want to compare the two with that. It's only making wastegate pressure, so I feel like this is a pretty good test for anyone of you guys that don't have a forged bottom end like I do. You can run an M52 at 10 pounds all day, every day. So let's see what the back housing does for a difference. I got the laptop here, taking a data log, so here we go. This thing is crazy. Full throttle at 2800 RPM in fourth. Put it into neutral, look at how much smoke comes out of the exhaust. I'm rolling into the throttles. I need to give it 100 right away. Give it 100% as quickly as possible. This is what the data log looks like. The numbers that I'm looking for are the throttle percentage, manifold air pressure, and the RPM. That blue line that's spiking up is my throttle, and this little clump right here is very interesting. Literally 7,000 RPM, that's red line, 151 kPa. So this car is only making 7 psi. I thought it was 10, but I guess it's only 7. 150 kPa, and then I'm making the shift, and then here I'm back, 88% throttle, 5900 RPM, 101 kPa means no boost at all. That's where atmospheric pressure is. Everything above means you're in positive pressure. And then the best test of them all right here. I get to 97% throttle at 2600 RPM, and it's at 92 kPa. So at 101, that's atmospheric pressure. It's 2700 RPM is when it starts to make boost. And then it's slowly rising up. 149 kPa, 2900 RPM. So it takes about 200 RPM to load up boost, but it's not that many pounds. Like I was saying, only 150 kPa. I really thought it was 10 pounds of boost, but I did not know the car was making this little boost. On the forums, they have this, so you can really easily translate it. 150 kPa is 7.2 pounds, and 130 kPa is 5.2 pounds. So it's not making much, and it's still pretty rowdy at 7 psi, which is crazy. Granted, these results are going to be very different depending on how much boost you're running. If you're trying to make 20 pounds of boost, it's going to take a lot longer, I think, for it to make the 20 pounds. I'm not too sure. I've never made 20 pounds before, off rip like that. But I think that this is a pretty good test for anyone that wants to stay on the low end of the stock horsepower. 7 psi feels amazing. I've been driving the car like this for so long, and I thought it was 10, but it's at 7. In a lower gear, 2800 RPM got me right up to 150 kPa. So it seems like right under 3000 RPM is where it makes the full boost. Oh my god, this thing turned to dust. Seeing my issue again, I think I have a better idea now. So the reason I have that angle was because I couldn't tighten the nut right there for the hot side unless if it was at this angle. But if I install the hot side first and then slide the turbo cartridge into the hot side, I'll be able to get it a lot straighter just off the fact that it's not all the way as close as it can be to the exhaust header. What the hell? I thought it was gonna be way bigger, but it's not even that much bigger. I mean, kinda. It still looks pretty small. These Home Depot bolts are so AIDS. I want a V-band so bad, but gotta redo the downpipe for that. Yeah, this angle is crazy. I had previously ruined the threads in this exhaust manifold, so I had to do a nut and bolt on this side, but I tightened it with the serrations under the nut, and now that it's been heat cycled many times, it's not grabbing as nice as it was before. It's just spinning the nut on the bottom, and I can't get anything on the nut on the bottom. So I'm trying to create some leverage on the bolt by pulling on the turbo and trying to pinch the nut that's on the bottom. Not doing shit, I don't think. Oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna take this out. This is so annoying. This is so junk. This is exactly what I was trying to avoid when I was trying to fix the threads in this turbo manifold. Because no matter how hard I try, I cannot get something behind that nut to hold it in. There's just not enough space between here to get a wrench on the back side of this bolt. And on this side, there's not much room. From the bottom, there's not much room. I even have the engine jacked up a little bit to get it further away from the wheel well. But yeah, this is brutal. It should have been a real easy job, but this is a bitch now. So now I have no idea. I've been trying to get vice grips on it, nothing. Trying to wedge it in, nothing. I think I'm gonna have to resort to cutting, which sucks. Sucks. Super sucks. Or I could try drilling. Drilling on this nut. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. Damn, there's like fiberglass in my throat. What the fuck? I think I got it. I think I got it. Pry bar in one hand, drill in the other. I don't want to get metal shavings down my turbo manifold though, but the turbo is out. Let's go. Let me not drop it. That's the drain that I have. I have no idea how this stud is gonna come out though. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the nut is hitting on the bottom. This is so annoying. I really don't want to use an angle grinder to cut this because it's gonna make so much dust, but I think I have to. This just makes so much bad dust and it gets into every nook and cranny. So using this, it's gonna total my engine bay. This thing is, nah. This is so stupid, but it has to happen. This is so AIDS, bro. Oh no. I'm cooking these threads over here. I mean, that's where the turbo sits, hopefully. Fuck. Here we go. Please drop down the bottom. No way. No way does it still not come out. After all that, it still doesn't come out. Dude, this is so... Okay, I was working my way up with the drill bit. Let's go! Slowly but surely works a lot better than just jumping up to a big drill bit. I should have done that with the other one. On the third set of drill bits, it came out. I started with this small one, then this one, and then with this one it came out. Thankfully. Now I have no idea what I'm gonna do to hold it in. I think I've seen before some washers that have like a built-in kind of like a tooth in it so that it wedges up on the exhaust manifold and you can tighten the bolt on top and it makes it act like a nut that's solid. But I need to look that up. I need to see if those are possible. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to tighten this one nut inside of the car. It's like impossible to get to, but we will get to that. I don't think that's supposed to be rubbing on there like that. That sounds kind of weird. What the fuck? I didn't think the difference was too much when the turbo was together, but now, side by side, this one definitely looks a little bit chunkier. Right here, on the bottom, it has these two ridges that stick out more, and on the .63, it's slimmer. So it's a little bit bigger. I think my engine's gonna like this a lot. And especially when I go to E85, this is gonna work a lot better than this. It's gonna be flowing a lot of air. Now the new plan to installing this, I'm gonna install just this first so I have access to this nut, and then I'll get this angle for the drain a lot straighter after this is on. Now very carefully. Nice. Since I only need one of these locking nuts, it's kind of brutal because this is what I was talking about, and these little wedges slip on to that nut, and then the E-clip holds this piece onto the nut. These are really nice, but I only need one, and it comes with the bolt as well, but I'm not paying 50 bucks for one of these. Instead, I ordered a few of these Nordlock washers. It's basically two pieces of metal together that hopefully when I put it on the nut on the bottom, it can allow it to wedge itself into place, and then that will act like a solid nut. But these are meant for turbos, for the vibration and all that. This is like the best kind of washer you could get. Also, I went to Harbor Freight. This definitely would have helped before drilling the bolt out. These are some crow's feet, but the nut was seized anyways. That's just me coping. This probably would have got it off. But I'm gonna use this to tighten the new hardware store bolt, and I'll pray for the best. I wanna get this together before the Nordlock washer comes. I'm definitely kind of an asshole for not going out and grabbing these before committing to hella time drilling those bolts out, but
23 crazy.
there we go. The hot side is installed. I sprayed compressed air in between here, and I'm assuming all that had to have been oil, and that's probably where all the oil was leaking out and into the exhaust. It's from there. So I made sure that that face is nice and as clean as I could have it. And hopefully that seals a little bit better. I think that's all that holds the oil back. Oh shit. The angle is a little bit better, but I recut another stud for the exhaust manifold that got nicked, and it's a little bit too long. It's hitting on the bolt for the turbo drain. So if I shave that down a little bit, I'll be able to straighten it a tiny bit more. Yeah, I should have known better. Yes!
I know I can do it.
That is much better. That's sitting flush with the top of the nut. There's no more room that I can make. If this doesn't work, then it's tough. I'm trying to give it a bit of a bend, and hopefully I can get the drain straighter. This is definitely why I've never installed the turbo this way. There's one bolt that I have to get into there, and the drain is perfectly in the way. And I can't rotate the center part anymore because the drain is so long and it only can go into that one little way. So yeah, I don't know how to get this one bolt in there. Or I would have to take it all out and slide this in. That's definitely what I have to do. Take all these bolts out, slide this one in first, and then yeah, that's the way. It actually worked. Of course it worked, because it makes so much sense. Now I can put all the bolts in and get the turbo back on. So that right there is the absolute most that I can straighten my feed out. On the manifold, you can see it's fully covered by the cartridge of the turbo. And over on the other side, you can see that my turbo drain is basically touching the exhaust manifold. There's no more that can go. If this doesn't work, then that's just tough. Using these small locking pliers and a 13 wrench, I was able to tighten the hard to get to bolt. When the wrench wouldn't fit, I would just spin it a little bit with that until the wrench would fit, and it actually worked. I'm hyped, let's go. There we go. Everything is now tight. It's like solving a puzzle when you first put something together because you don't know what tools work for what, and you don't know the sequence to tighten everything in. So I literally had to take everything off so many times to find out how to put it together. But I can definitely tell a good difference in the chunkiness right there. I'm so excited to see if this worked to fix the smoking. Lastly, I need to get this flex fuel sensor installed in here and replace all these rubber hoses to the E85 safe hose. And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna put the flex fuel sensor down below so that everything can be all set and ready to go. This fuel pressure regulator is in the return line of the fuel, and I want to put the flex fuel sensor on the feed because that's gonna give the most accurate reading for the fuel that's going into the engine. So I can just replace these hoses first on this side and then the flex fuel sensor after. To get all the fuel pressure out of the fuel lines, as much fuel out as possible, and pull this fuse number 11 out. I gotta start it first. Now I can take those fuel lines out and not drop fuel everywhere. Let's go. I put the clamps so easy to take off because I installed them when everything was together. Wiggling this hose around in my left hand, I can feel that it's the bottom hose. So I'll just pop that bottom clamp off real quick. I'm also going to disconnect the battery real quick, just in case. I definitely wanted to have that battery disconnected because I'm going to dump fuel all over my starter. And there's power wires on that starter. Oh my god, so much fuel just came out. It's still coming out, oh my god. Shit, that was a bad idea. It's still coming out, all the fuel that was in the fuel rail. Should I just keep letting it? Yo, it's not stopping, what the fuck? Yo, it's not stopping! It's just a consistent flow of fuel. What do? I'm already, I can't reach and get this hose back on. I'm just gonna act like I don't know that it's leaking. I gotta get this Gates barricade hose in. Just gotta slip it on at least. Look at this napkin. Holy shit. It's leaking so much! What the? Why is my hand black? Is this Gates barricade hose? What the? The coating on the hose when there's fuel on the outside turns into that? That is insane. I'm holding the hose clamp on the back side so that it doesn't twist while I'm tightening it. First one is in. The bottom return one is fully in. Comes over to here. Now I just gotta connect the bottom of the regulator down to the stock hard line down on the bottom. To be honest, I'm about to never use a flathead for a hose clamp again. It takes so much longer with the flathead. I'll connect the Gates barricade hose right in. Oh, that was ridiculous. Ow, my elbow. I had to re-fuck my elbow up just to get that on. Oh, shit. The speed at which you can open and close these with the ratchet is crazy. The return line is done. Now I can actually put the flex fuel sensor in. I got this flex fuel sensor off of Amazon. It's from AC Delco, and I didn't realize that AC Delco is actually genuine GM. They're nice and cheap because there's so many of them. And then as well on Amazon, I got this connector for it. I think I'm just gonna zip tie it to something and make it solid like that. But then I'm gonna have to wire into the power, ground, and then signal of the ECU. And the flex fuel sensor is fully in like that. Apparently this sensor is bi-directional, so you can put it either which way, which is good to know. I think a perfect location for this could be right on that silicone boot right there. I'm gonna zip tie it there and see what that looks like. That sensor is definitely just gonna live there, zip tied, and then from the hard line on the left into the sensor, and from the sensor to the fuel rail. It is insanely difficult to get this hose connected to that flex fuel sensor. I had to put silicone in the hose to get that to slide in. It was just too damn tight. The bottom hose is fully connected. Now that the hot side is changed, the last thing I need to do before the dyno is finish up this flex fuel sensor. It's already installed, all the lines are changed, I just have to wire this in. I need to see what the most optimal location for finding a 12 volt and ground is, and then the last wire goes to my ECU. But since this is a sensor that's gonna stay with the chassis, I have to try and put it on the chassis side. If I take the engine out and I don't disconnect this wire, I'm gonna rip this sensor out if it's connected to my engine harness. So I'd rather just keep it plugged in, and that would be done if I go to the chassis side. But yeah, where's the best place to go to for 12 volts? I'm thinking here, or I could go into the relay, to be honest. Yeah, because the relay comes over here. Ooh, I could tap into this harness. Yeah, I'm gonna do that for sure. Just kidding, I'm almost positive these relays are on the engine harness. Yeah, they are on the engine harness. Damn it. So, I don't know, maybe I do have to just snake these wires into here and then retest tape it up. I have to give a massive shout out to my guy, Hooli. Yo, thank you so much for this. I'm gonna use the hell out of this. I always had a shitty multimeter, and then he was like, yo, I got this one. That's crazy. Hooli's one of my best friends from high school. He's the one that got me into BMWs. His black E36 sedan, 328. That's what got my love for these M52s. Hearing his car naturally aspirated with just a muffler delete. Damn, the memories, yo. Look at the stand on that thing. That's crazy. Like, what the fuck? Look how visible it is, too. This is so sick. It's so visible on camera. That's insane. In this bundle of wires, I need to find one that's 12 volts, only when the key is on. If you don't know how to use a multimeter, it's very simple. You just ground one side, and then you go poking around with the other side to see where there's 12 volts. And it's weird because this thing has some numbers on there, but I don't even know what. I'm gonna put it in continuity mode to find the ground. It beeps when you touch them together. So if you ground one and then go poking around until it beeps, then that's how you know it's a ground. There we go. So the brown wire is in fact the ground. I already know that. I just want to show you guys. If you don't know how to find the ground, that's a really good way. I low-key love trying to diagnose wiring with a multimeter because it either has power or it doesn't. So when you're trying to diagnose a car, if you know how to use a multimeter, it's so useful just to go poking around with it, seeing what works and what doesn't, because that's the only way to find out. And once you get comfortable using a multimeter, you know that at the end of the day, it's all just one wire connected from one end to the other. And then it's just Some wires are very long, some are short. Sometimes there's a relay in the middle, sometimes there's a fuse in the middle. You just gotta know when and where. It all just pieces together like a puzzle, exactly how cars are, but wiring is the exact same way. So I really encourage you guys to learn some wiring. I know there's a lot of people that say, I don't do wiring, I'm not good at it. It's a fun thing to try and master because it's so useful. So with the key on, oh okay, 12 volts. So I gotta just pick one, I guess. These two green wires I know are very important. They're 12 volts, so I didn't want to tap into that. The next best one is the solid blue wire. So I can put this back on and I'm gonna take this little bit of sheathing off. Motherfucker, yo! I just dropped this shit on the fender. This car, I cannot stress about the looks of this car. Surgeon cutting skin, literally what this is like. There's our target. So I'm thinking about cutting it in the middle and using a heat shrink crimp to connect these three. There's just like barely any wire to work with. Before starting at all, you want to route the wire exactly how it's going to be so I can cut it all and it'll be good to go. It's so sticky. This is some bullshit. Damn, there's no room here. I really chose a good spot to do this shit in. Ha. I have like one try at this. I can't afford to lose any length of wire. That would be a disaster. I'm just intertwining the two. I'm gonna put it into one of these and then, damn, I gotta put some more wire right here. And then fold it in on itself to make up for the bigger crimp. I squeeze that literally as hard as I possibly can. That crimp should be good on there. A nice long strand. Trim that heat shrink back a little bit. I've never needed to do that, but it actually worked. Let's go. Please tell me that that's a good connection and that all the wires were all the way in. Giving it a good tug and it's feeling good. So I'm gonna repeat that again with a 12 volt wire. Boom. The 12 volts and the ground are now spliced in. Looks really good. Hopefully it functions well too. Now I can just wrap this up with Tessa tape and wrap the little harness for that up. Oh, I need to do this last wire. Damn. I think I'm gonna run this into the dash and then behind inside the car instead of going over there because it's gonna be just a loose wire. This white one, I've never used it before, as you can tell. The link is gonna be in the description. These are so useful from Amazon. It is an affiliate link, so if you purchase through that link, I will get a small bit of commission. To extend this wire to my ECU, I'm gonna do it from the ECU back. Instead of trying to make the crimp here and then decide how long it is. In my little rat nest, that plug right there is the accessories for my ECU. I have the clutch pedal wired in here, the E fan, and then the boost controller. So I'm gonna add one more, and that's gonna be for the flex fuel. I'm gonna leave the roll in here, feed it through there into the engine bay. Exactly like this. Comes in through there. And then I'm trying to keep it nice and far away from the pedals. I don't want it to get caught up and snagged on anything. But it goes through that hole right there on the middle of the screen. Over top of everything in there. And out into here. I'm just gonna splice them at the end and pull from the inside. She should be good to go. Nice and solid. That's perfect. This roll can go away now. I'll start with the biggest crimp and work my way down. That's a pretty good crimp right there. There we go. You guys know what I'm gonna do next. The link is gonna be in the description for this as well. This tape is a lifesaver. Anytime you have a little bit of wiring that you gotta cover up, you don't want it to look janky, throw this over it and look at what it does to it. I'm gonna leave the white wire alone now. Continue up on this bundle. There we go. If you don't have at least 2 rolls of these in your toolbox, then you're doing something wrong. Because look at, I tapped into that looked like shit. And now it looks 30,000 times better. all back together now, and you can't even tell that I had a major surgery in here. There's the flex fuel sensor there. It's connected and plumbed in. He's ready to go. There it is. It's fully installed. Oh, I need to set up the computer. Damn. My throttle cable has always been broken like this to fit with this E90 booster and master cylinder. It always was hitting on the brake line. As you can see, it's just a little bit too long. And I've had it snapped like that and rubbing for 3 years, and it officially wore enough through to stick. So my throttle's sticking, and I'm here at home, my home garage, but I want to get to the shop. So I'm gonna try and snip off some of that extra wire and try to fix that, because I can't drive the car with it like this. Throttle is just stuck at like 50% throttle. I trimmed some off of the cable, and I somehow managed to get it that if it's less than 20% throttle, it doesn't stick. So I'm not gonna try and go more. I've been just going like this, and it's been returning to 0, which that's all I need. I just need it to return back to 0. Not being able to go more than 20% actually sucks. I can't go faster than 30 miles an hour, and I gotta go on the highway. Shit. I put it up to 5th gear so I can get my speed up a little bit, and then I downshifted to 4th, and it's slowly but surely climbing in RPM. It's like a challenge. I just want to go like 70 so that I'm not getting, so like this asshole, what the fuck? So I'm not a mobile chicane for people like that. I actually made it, not giving it more than 25% throttle. That is such a big W. I also just got this in the mail. This is a breather that replaces the oil cap on the engine. It has a bunch of baffling, and it has a ball valve in here. When it's in vacuum, the engine's gonna be pulling the ball down and sealing it all good. But when the engine needs to breathe from the turbo when it's making boost, it'll open up. I really like this. I was gonna put a catch can and then vent it to the atmosphere anyways. So this is gonna be a nice thing just to test. And the best part is, even though it looks like it's sticking out a whole bunch, and it is sticking out a whole bunch, it still closes. Let's go. That's definitely staying on there, even if I have a catch can. Since I have an M52 throttle body, I got a new E36 throttle cable. The last time I used an E34 throttle cable, it was not long enough. All the way extended, this wouldn't reach. So I'm gonna try and make this fit without breaking it again, because I broke it last time by accident trying to make this fit. So to take this out, I definitely have to go in from the inside and just squeeze that and push it out. I managed to use the screwdriver to push the bottom clip in, and then just use a hammer to hammer it out, and it's working. I have no idea how you would get that out without breaking the clip. That's insane. There's no room. Actually, it's not even broken. So much more room, damn. This is the issue that I'm currently having. M52s throw the throttle cable in this direction. M50 throttle bodies have it on the left, I'm pretty positive. But I made this bracket off of the M52 throttle body, and I would like to keep it there because it's in a really nice location. This is the E90 master and booster. The best solution would be to get the X3 master and booster. It's the same thing as the E90 one, but the ports are on this side, where the stock E30 brakes normally come out. But since I modified my whole system for the E90 one, then I'd have to rebend the brake line, which isn't that big of a deal, but I would have to rebleed the brakes and all that. So if I can't get this to work, that's probably what I have to do. And the biggest issue is that I had it all the way extended and the brake lines were just hitting. So I'm gonna see if I can have the throttle cable come out in between the brake lines. Yeah, that's crazy. I've been driving with this throttle cable broken like this for 3 years, and this is how long it took for it to get this bad. Hopefully I can get this to fit properly. I definitely broke it by accident last time, just trying to bend this, and then I ended up just riding with it broken, just because that was the only way I got it to work. But now it's connected to the throttle pedal, and there's all this slack in it. So I need to get all that slack right there out. This is gonna be interesting. I'm thinking my best bet is to go down that way, because it looks like there's a little bit of room. So I'm gonna bend this the opposite way and see if I can give it the angle to just wanna go that way. I still need to go a little more for it to be ideal. It needs to be right there so that anytime you give it a little bit of throttle, she's ready to go. But the good news is I was able to extend it all the way without it crashing into the booster. It still has a little bit of room and it's not bounding up on anything. I guess I'm just gonna leave it like this and see how it feels while I'm driving. It has a little bit of slack, but it feels a lot smoother now that it's not broken. It's actually running through a proper cable. Everything's back installed, and the throttle in this car always used to have a whole bunch of resistance, and it was pretty hard to push the pedal down. Now that it's fixed, I can't even feel that little bit of slack. Like, obviously you can see it, but like the moment that it starts pushing in, it's so much smoother now and easier to press. So I don't think I'm even gonna notice that little bit of dead zone. This thing is crazy. What the hell? The bigger back housing makes it make way more boost, I'm pretty sure. It's spinning now. It was not doing that before. Oh my god, it's so fast now. What the fuck? Definitely boost creeped up top. That was insane. Is it smoking? I don't know. You guys know first. On that big 3/4 pull, it reached 190 kPa, and then 185, 180, and it kind of fluctuates right around the 190, which is 13 psi. That felt insane at 13 psi. I gave it full throttle at 4100 RPM, and it's holding 150 kPa from 4000 RPM till 6000 RPM, and then at 6000 RPM it starts going up and creeping a little bit. But that's not that bad. This is where I did the test. 95% throttle at 2500 RPM. It's at 89 kPa. At 2600 RPM, it is starting to make boost. It's out of vacuum. It's going, it's going, it's going. When does it make 150? 3000 RPM. What? It's the exact same. There's no way. Granted, it's a little leaner than what it would like. It wants to be a little more rich, but yeah, that's crazy. I guess that means that the engine is absolutely loving the bigger back housing because it's spooling the exact same way. I gave it the 95% throttle at 3300 RPM. It starts making boost in the same, right away it starts making boost. And it gets to 150 at 3600 RPM. And that's like just letting it ring out. You should never be lugging it this much. You should just downshift instead of doing this. But I just want to see when the turbo is working. This is really interesting. I mean, granted, now with the bigger back housing, it is creeping a little more at the higher RPM, but it's spooling at the exact same time as the .63. That's insane. and it's definitely feeling really good now. The throttle feels very responsive now, and of course the broken throttle cable was gonna do that, but I thought it was gonna be a lot harder to fix it, and it wasn't that bad. The car feels so much more responsive now just because of the throttle. Like anytime I'm giving it gas, it's already reacting. It makes the turbo feel even better now because I can give it a tiny little bit of gas and it's instantly reacting to it, and I don't have to give it a good squish every time I wanted to do anything, which is how it used to be. And the smoking is officially gone. It's still there a tiny little bit, but I think I just need to put hundreds of miles on the car for it to burn out of the exhaust, because it was shooting so much into the exhaust. There's just residue in there that I gotta just burn off over a few thousand miles. I'm so excited though. It's nowhere near as bad as it was. I feel really good about driving that car now. My friend at Bimmer Buddies on Instagram said he believes when there's less restriction on the exhaust end, the engine is more susceptible to boost creep, because when I had the muffler in, it was very restrictive and I didn't have any boost creep. It was holding boost all the way to red line. But I only took the muffler off and that's it, and it started boost creeping. So it's a pretty good hypothesis that is what caused it. Once the turbo flows more and it just breathes better, it starts making more boost. And I'm pretty sure when I go to up the boost, it's gonna boost creep even harder at the top. I don't know. We're probably gonna have to play with the boost controller, like tell it to stop making boost and let the boost creep take over. I don't know, we'll find that out. But the forged engine will take any amount of boost that I throw at it, so. If I were to do it again, I would not do the .63 back housing. I would do the .82 off rip. It's just the engine likes it a lot better. My engine is a 3-liter, so it's an overboard M50 to the S52 bore size, but it has the 2.8-liter M52 crank, so it's a Frankenstein. It has a whole bunch of different parts. It makes a lot of sense that the turbo's not smoking anymore, because once I draw it out like this, it makes a lot of sense. There's always gonna be a puddle if the angle is too much, and you don't want that. You always want every drop of oil inside the turbo to be able to flow out, and how it is now, it's definitely gonna allow that. The only difference I felt between the two back housings was on the partial throttle stuff. It took a little bit longer for the boost to start loading up, but it's barely noticeable. It's not at all gonna be something that I'm thinking about. I'm always just gonna be thinking about the turbo. The only reason I know that the turbo's spooling a little bit later is because now in my VE table, in my ECU, it was leaning out a little bit once at the beginning of the ramp up, because the engine was reaching levels in the map that it was never reaching before. But once I fixed that tiny little area down below, everywhere else was perfect. This is definitely the correct back housing for this engine. The flex fuel, Vems told me I have to modify my ECU so that I can add the wheel speed 2 signal. So I'm gonna figure that out, but at least it's installed and ready to go. Next up is the dyno. I wanna go see what this car can make, and I want it to have an official tune that I don't ever have to worry about having a laptop on me. Follow me on Instagram to stay up to date with everything that I'm doing. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because this thing is gonna be making some jam real soon. Thank you guys for watching.